It's now my pleasure to introduce Martha and also Angela, who'll be supporting her, and they're both from Commonwealth Superannuation Corporation, and they are member experts. I'll hand over to you, Martha.
Thank you so much, Rick. Good afternoon, everyone. Now, I am noticing that there's still people coming into the session. We are expecting a pretty large group, so I might just babble on for a little bit, and we might just check the audio because I can see that somebody is having some issues. Can you use the react button at the top? Just a thumbs up for those who can hear me. Great. Alrighty. Wonderful. And also, if you could just give me the heart emoji for those who can see my screen that says Women and Super, just to make sure that the share functionality is working. Fantastic. Thank you so much. For those people who are having difficulty sometimes, now I know that Angela's going to put a note in there, but if you have anybody else that might be having problems, sometimes jumping back in and rejoining does help. Obviously, it will depend on where you're joining us from, sometimes with regards to the licensing with Teams. And I can see that there's a bit of a delay from my end because I'm still seeing the emojis pop up. So apologies if I don't get to see everything straight away. But I guess first and foremost, to formally introduce myself, as Rick mentioned, my name is Marta. In fact, Marta Lamberti. I am one of the member education consultants at the Commonwealth Superannuation Corporation. And we are grateful to celebrate the partnership with the Aged Care Quality and Safety Commission, who has provided the opportunity not only for us to present to you, but also for us to, for you to be able to give us for them to be able to give us your valuable time to discuss some things that we think are very, very important. Okay, I can see that we've sort of stopped with the numbers going up. Hopefully people can still join us. And for those who have missed out, as Rick mentioned, this webinar will be recorded and will be available in about a week's time. It will be loaded to the actual landing page that is with CSC. And I'm going to ask Ange to pop that link later on for you. So before I move on, just really important to understand that the presentation today, the Women in Super, is a general presentation. So we are not going to go into any scheme specifics. We are going to talk about general superannuation terminology. We're going to hopefully give you a little bit more information to center you around making maybe smarter, more confident actions, those things that you can do to make decisions to give you a better outcome for your retirement. Okay. If you are after scheme specific information, there will be webinars available over the course of this year through this platform. Alternatively, if it's something that you wanted to look at earlier, we do also run public webinars that are just able to register for through the general csc.gov.au website. But if there's any scheme specific things, you would have to obviously relate to your own individual super scheme. Okay. So let's get started. I am obviously joined by Angela, my colleague. So if you do have any questions relating to the module, what we're going to cover today, please put it into the chat. We are monitoring the chat function. We are not using the Q&A because unfortunately from our end, that functionality does not work and it actually causes some issues. So if you do have any questions pertaining to this presentation, definitely use the chat function. Okay. Now, I would just like to do an acknowledgement of country. CSC acknowledges the traditional owners and custodians of country throughout Australia and their continuing connection to land, waters and community. We pay our respects to their elders past and present and extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people joining us here today. Lastly, with a little bit of housekeeping, most of the concepts that we will cover today will apply to most people, but not every concept will apply to everyone in this virtual room. And as such, the information we cover today is general in nature and without taking into anyone's direct financial situations and needs. If you are looking for more specific advice or information, we do have other services. For our PSAP members, we have a super specialist offering. For those who are after a little bit more comprehensive advice, we also, CSC has our own financial planners. But just to, really make it clear that the information we're going to cover today is of a general nature only. And as a member educator, I can only provide general advice. Now, our target market determination is for our PSAP and CSCRI customers. So if that applies to you and you wanted more information with regards to the target market determination, it is available on the csc.gov.au website. So for the next 30 minutes or so, I know we've got allocated 45. Hopefully, if I don't babble on too much and maybe digress from what I'm, have been given to talk to, we should be able to finish it up a little bit earlier. So hopefully I'm aiming for about 30 to 40 minutes. Now we're aiming to deliver as much value as possible. So, hopefully we're going to be able to finish on time. As I mentioned, any questions, please do use the chat function because we will not be monitoring the Q&A. I'm also going to pop a poll at the beginning just to sort of see where you're at, and it's going to help me understand the level of confidence, and basically it's more to do with which scheme you're in will depend on also how I navigate the presentation today. Now, our role today is to guide and support you to make informed and educated superannuation decisions, so that you can tailor your account to your needs now and as you journey through different life stages towards your retirement. All the information we cover will be available to you and delivered, in obviously the recording, and that will be available on your landing page. You will also might receive a survey after this session, and that's going to obviously help us understand how this particular session has landed to what you are after. Now, in today's session, we're going to explore the unique challenges women face in reaching financial security in retirement. But more importantly, we're going to start thinking of ways in which you can overcome them so you can feel more rest assured to see if you are on track for retirement. Now, there are very varied modules or webinars that we run. Some of them are general financial literacy. So if anybody joined us last month for the planning for retirement, that was something to help you navigate through what are the things that you need to consider when you're starting to formulate, your plan for retirement. The session today is a little bit more targeted to, the differences that we're finding, obviously, with, difference in superannuation balances, what are the struggles that unfortunately women do face during our working careers and how that is going to dictate what happens to our superannuation. But like I said, more importantly, we're also going to cover the things, what can you do to empower yourself to overcome those as well. Now, just to give you a little bit of background, CSC has been serving those who serve our country for over 100 years. With our heritage and experience, we pride ourselves on understanding you and your needs leading up to and into your retirement phase. As one of Australia's first super funds, we have over a century of unique experience in serving those who serve Australia. Today, CSC manages and administers 11 super funds. These are set up solely to meet the needs of eligible current and former Australian government employees and members of the Australian Defence Force. We currently have 2 funds open to new members, and that is ADF Super and PSAP. So that's the Public Sector Superannuation Accumulation Plan, and that's the super fund for current and former Australian government employees. PSAP is our accumulation scheme, open to those working for eligible agencies as an Australian government employee, and also portable throughout your career journey as you're able to also take it with you and tailor it to your superannuation needs. As I mentioned before, this session is not specifically designed for members of any particular super fund, but rather it's here to help you understand the importance of engaging with your super at the right time. So I'm just going to pop up my one and only poll. So bear with me while I bring that up, and hopefully it will work on your end. Sorry, it's just taking a little while to load. Just wanted to know if you actually knew which super fund you were in. So we obviously have PSAP, PSS, CSS, or maybe you're in another super fund or you're unsure. So if you could just take a moment to complete that for me, I'd be greatly appreciated. I'm just waiting for those results to come through. Okay, so I do have a various bag. So we've got some people who are in PSAP, you've got some people who are in PSS, a few are in CSS, and then the ones that are might be in another super fund or you're unsure. It is really good to make sure that you engage with your super. For anybody, particularly if you're unsure which super scheme you're in, because the next step from here is to really understand that particular scheme, understand how it grows, what your options will be at retirement, because particularly there from a CSC perspective, there's a difference between our accumulation scheme, which is PSAP, and there's a big difference for those people who are in the defined benefit schemes, which is PSS and CSS. Okay, but I will talk to both of those in the contexts of this particular presentation. So, and thank you for those who were able to use the polls. Now let's start with a simple but important question. What is the gender super gap? The gender super gap refers to the difference in retirement savings between men and women. And unfortunately, it's a gap that still exists today. On average, women aged 60 to 64 retire with around 21.3% less super than men. That's a significant difference, and it can have a real impact on financial confidence and independence in retirement. But here's the good news. Understanding the gap is the first step to closing it. And there are practical, empowering actions we can take at any life stage to help bridge that gap and build a stronger financial future. Oh, sorry, I've just lost a thing. So what causes, the gender super gap? It's not just one thing. It's a combination of factors that build over time. In Australia, the national gender pay gap based on full-time average weekly earnings is currently around 12%. That means on average, women earn less than men for the same amount of work. But it goes deeper than that. Women also are more likely than men to, for example, take time out of the workforce for caregiving, whether it's raising children or maybe supporting aging parents. We're more likely to work part-time or casually, often, to balance maybe family responsibilities, and be employed in lower paid industries or roles. And while these challenges are real, they're not insurmountable. With the right strategies and support, women can take control of their super and build a future that reflects their goals and values. The experiences we've talked about, like lower pay, part-time work and career breaks, doesn't just affect income in the short term, they also have a compounding impact on super balances over time. And this is obviously why we see a larger super gender gap when people retire. Lower wages mean less super in being contributed while you work. Career breaks and unpaid leave often mean no super is going in at all. And these challenges often stack on top of other life events that can affect anyone, obviously not just women, things like maybe long-term illness or injury, divorce or redundancy. So not only does these challenges occur, we unfortunately face other factors as well. The other thing to consider is, on top of all of that, women tend to live longer than men, which means we will need our retirement savings to stretch further, often for several more years. It's a lot to think about, but the good news is there are ways to plan ahead, take control, and make confident decisions that support your long-term financial well-being. While the gender super gap is real, there are some powerful advantages to being part of the Australian Public Service and a member of PSAP that can help you stay on track. First, the super contribution rate in APS is 15.4%. That's well above the national minimum of 12%. So over time, that extra boost can make a big difference to your retirement savings. And for those who are in the defined benefit schemes, your super accrues in a reduced risk or risk-free way and can be claimed as a guaranteed lifetime pension. You also have access to paid parental leave, and importantly, super continues to be paid during that time. That's not something every employer offers. Other types of paid leave like annual, personal, or long service leave also continue to accrue super, helping you to stay connected to your financial goals even while you're away from work. And if you're a PSAP member with income protection and need to take time off due to illness or injury, your cover doesn't just support your income, it also ensures your 15.4% super contributions continue while you recover. For those in the defined benefit scheme, there are also specific strategies to help you continue building your super while on leave or working part-time. So if you are after, knowing how that works, this is where you would register for one of the scheme specific, whether it's a PSAP overview or a CSS overview for the defined benefit members. And if you are a PSAP member, we have the Super 101, and we also have specifically a webinar coming up this year, which will just cover insurances. Okay. So all of these are meaningful benefits, and they're designed to support you through every stage of your career, including the times when life takes you in a different direction. Understanding super can feel overwhelming at times, but there are tools and support available to help you feel more confident and in control. Whether you're just starting your career, planning a break, or thinking ahead to retirement, there are resources designed to meet you where you are. We've obviously got education seminars and webinars that are available both in the workplace and to the public, offering practical guidance on how super works and how to make the most of it. There's also, for our PSAP members, one-on-one appointments with our super specialists, which gives you a more general advice and general support. There's financial planning services that can help you build a strategy that can align with your goals and life stage. There's also a range of online tools that can help you explore your options and take action. So there's things like the Retirement Modeler, which can show how your super is growing and how life events like career breaks may affect this. And I might ask Angela to put the link to the PSAP Retirement Modeler in our chat, because I will be referring to it a little bit further down in the presentation, just to show you how to navigate that. For those who are in the defined benefit scheme, there are also tools available to you, and that's called the I Estimator, which provides insights into your defined benefit entitlements. There's also things like the Life App Calculator, which can help you understand your insurance needs. And also there's another calculator on our website called the Small Change Calculator. And this shows you how even small contributions can make a big difference over time. So we're talking about, comparing a cup of coffee a day or a week, or, just having a look at the things that we do tend to spend our money on without even giving it a thought. This small change calculator can actually show you, if you were to put those particular items into your superannuation instead, how that can actually make a big difference over time. So these tools are designed to support your journey. So you can take small, meaningful steps today that can help build a more secure and confident future. 5 key actions you can take to help secure your financial future are things like, choosing an appropriate investment option, maybe looking at contributing more, definitely checking your account, maybe finding or combining your super, or maybe reviewing your insurance. So those are the things that we're going to cover during this presentation. Oh, I'm sorry. Just went ahead of myself. Where are we? Bear with me, I'm having a bit of technical issues. Be back in 1 sec. There we go. So choosing your investment option or contributing more, checking your account, and for those who have not logged in to their online portal, I would really recommend after today's session that would be your first step, because you need to make sure that you know, well, how much superannuation do I have? The things that we're going to talk about, that will give you the control to be able to maybe make those small steps and those small changes. It's going to allow you to see, your transaction history. So is your employer actually contributing the right amount? Are your details up to date? Do we have your most contactable details, like your email address, your actual mailing address? So that way you are getting your most recent annual statements. It's really, really important to make sure that you are logging in to your online portal, irrespective of which super fund that you're in. But let's now go and explore each one of these 5, simple things that can definitely make a big difference to your overall financial journey into retirement. So the first one, and it's one of the most important and overlooked, is, the decisions that you can make about your super is choosing the right investment option. Different options are designed to suit different financial goals and timeframes. For example, high growth options like balanced and aggressive aim to grow your super more over the long term. They can carry more risk, but they also offer greater potential returns in the longer term. Lower risk options are designed to protect your capital in the short term. These may suit if you're closer to retirement or prefer more stability. Now, even though you probably have heard this many times, past performance is not a reliable indicator of future performance. But you can see that the graph that is on the screen at the moment, if we were to look at the previous 10 years, if we were to look at probably, see into the future, which we can't because nobody has a crystal ball, most of the time, because superannuation is designed as a long-term investment, it will probably give you a similar picture to, from 2007 to 2017, even from 1997 to 2007. It's about also taking in, what's going to be relevant for your life stage and what kind of a risk assessment you are comfortable with. Now, despite how important, your choice is, you have to think that we've done, a little bit of research, and only 15% of women in the APS have actively chosen their investment option, compared to 27% of men. If you haven't made a choice, your super is likely invested in the default option, which may or may not align with your goals. And if you're a defined benefit member, your investment options may be limited or not applicable, so it's worth checking what applies to your fund. And again, this would be relevant in, that particular overview of your scheme. Taking a few minutes to review your investment strategy today could make a meaningful difference to your future. When it comes to building your super, every contribution counts, no matter how small. And the earlier you start, the more time your money has to grow through the power of compounding. Even small, regular contributions can make a big difference over time. While you're working, you can make before-tax contributions, often called salary sacrifice. These are taxed and at at a 15%, which is usually lower than your marginal tax rate, making it a tax-effective way to grow your super. You can also make after-tax contributions from your take-home pay. And if your income is below a certain threshold, you may be eligible for a government co-contribution, where the government adds up to 50 cents for every dollar you contribute, up to a maximum of $500 per year. So for those who are looking at, working part-time, that might be relevant to you. If you're a defined benefit member, you're not left out. You can still grow your retirement savings beyond your defined benefit fund by opening up a PSAP ancillary account, which allows you to make additional contributions beyond your defined benefit, beyond what your defined benefit permits you to. No matter your situation, there's a way to take action, and every step you take now helps build a stronger, more confident future. Now, for those who are not sure and they would like to find out which super scheme they're in, whether it's PSAP, PSS or CSS, give us a call. Give the CSC or have a look at your payslip. Your payslip might indicate which super scheme the contributions are going to. You would have received a welcome letter somewhere along the line, but if you are not sure, also another step is to jump into when you go to your MyGov portal and check the ATO will have listed your super schemes. So it will state whether it's PSAP, PSS or CSS. Okay. And I might just, before I move on, I'm going to quickly just check the chat if there's something that might be relevant to everybody else, so bear with me. Is it easy to change super funds, and do you get charged for doing so? So just depending on what you want to change to, because the only super fund that's open to be able to change into, if within CSC is PSAP for APS employees. There are obviously other industry super funds, and most people have choice. So it's about having a look at which super scheme that you're with, comparing sometimes fees, comparing performance, comparing insurances. Okay, so that's probably going to be the best thing to have a look at. There are also rating agencies that you can use to compare super funds. But let's move on with the presentation for what we're covering today. The other thing is, one of the simplest and most effective ways to stay in control of your super is to check in regularly and see how you're tracking. So logging into your account through the CSC Navigator, and that's just at csc.gov.au/login, gives you a clear snapshot of where you're at. In one place, you can check your balance, you can review your investment options, you can track your contributions, and you can even review your insurance cover. It's also a great opportunity to use the tools that are available to you, such as the Retirement Modeler and the iEstimator, which can help you see if your current super settings and contributions are shaping your future to allow you to, reach your retirement goals, and just to see how you are tracking. A quick check-in today can help make small adjustments that lead to big results over time. And it's all about staying informed, feeling confident, and making choices that support your goals. If you've had more than one job, there's a good chance you've got more than one super account. And while that's common, it can also mean paying multiple sets of admin fees, money that could be working harder for your retirement. Every dollar spent on unnecessary fees is a dollar that's not compounding and growing your future balance. The good news is it's easy to take action. You can either use the Supermatch tool at csc.gov.au to locate and consolidate your super accounts, or again, if you log into MyGov and use the ATO's online service to find and combine your super in just a few clicks. Taking a few minutes to tidy up your super today could mean more savings, fewer fees, and a stronger foundation for your future. Your super doesn't just help you save for retirement. It also includes insurance cover that can protect you and your loved ones if something unexpected happens. And that's why it's important to review your cover regularly to make sure it still suits your needs. Too little cover could leave you and your family financially vulnerable if something goes wrong. Too much cover might mean you're paying premiums for a benefit you don't actually need, money that could otherwise be growing your super further. Life changes like starting a family, buying a home, or taking a career break are great times to check in and make sure your insurance is still the right fit for you. We also have an additional tool called the Life App Calculator, and this is something that can help you understand how much cover you might, do you have the right cover, or how much cover do you need based on your own personal circumstances. And most of the time, like we find out sometimes with our, home and building insurance, or maybe our car insurance, sometimes we undervalue what we need. So, things like the Life App Calculator is going to allow you to really tailor what type of insurance you need for you and your family. Now, what I might do now is quickly jump over, because we do have a little bit of time left. I did mention about the PSAP retirement modeler. So this is for our PSAP members, but this is one of the tools that is available to you to sort of see how you're tracking, and it's even got tailoring mechanisms to sort of show us, if I was to take some time out of work, if I was to go to part-time, how could that potentially affect the outcome? If I was to make an investment switch, how is that going to change, again, my financial future? If I was to make additional contributions while I'm working maybe full-time before I go and take some time out of work or go to part-time, all of these can definitely make an impact. So the PSAP retirement modeler, as I mentioned, is for our accumulation members. For those who are in the defined benefit schemes, you would be able to use the iEstimator, but that is more tailored for your own account. And it's something that we do cover in one of the more scheme-specific webinars. Now, with this projection calculator, these are all the assumptions that we use. So thank you, Ange, for popping that link into the chat. So when you have a bit of time, read through the disclaimer and the assumptions, but basically you have to scroll to the end to say that you've read that. All the assumptions that we use here are very conservative because we cannot overestimate, the future outcomes. Now, let's say hypothetically, I'm going to obviously put that I'm a female. Let's say I'll leave it at 35. By the way, I wish I was 35 again. Say I was earning $90,000 and my current super balance was, I might do that at 90,000 as well. I'm just plucking numbers out of my head. Now, when I hit next, there will be a lot of information on the screen. What we need to focus on at the moment is the projected balance. However, this projected balance is also projecting to retirement age of 67. Why we put 67 as the retirement age, or we defaulted, is because 67 is the age at which we could be eligible or qualify for the government age pension. But for most people, again, depending on which super fund you're in, you could potentially retire a lot sooner. Some might be able to retire from the age of 55. Others might be able to retire from the age of 60 and to access their superannuation. During, obviously, that time, you will be a self-funded retiree. And if you are looking at receiving the government age pension, that won't be able to be applied for until age 67. So this is assuming that somebody is going to, for one, remain in the public service for the next 32 years, because I did say that I was 35 in this scenario, and that I'd be working till age 67. So not only is it showing a higher rate of contribution, because like I mentioned at the very beginning, because I'm working for an APS employer, I'm receiving a higher rate of contribution of 15.4% versus the standard in Australia, which is 12. So let's see what happens when we change some of these factors. What about if I wanted to retire at the earliest, which is age 60? If I was to bring down this lever, obviously that's 7 years less of contributions going in and compounding interest. So the projected balance has decreased quite significantly. The other thing is, what about if I'm thinking I might only work for my particular agency for another 10 years, and I might go and explore something on, working privately in the private sector. So this tool allows you to also see what kind of difference that would make, because if I changed my remaining years in the APS down to 10, it's going to work out that for the next 10 years, I'll be receiving the 15.4%, but then for the remaining time up until 60, I would only receive the 12%. Okay, so again, it's reduced that projected balance at retirement. Now, I'm not trying to scare you here, but you just sort of, I want to make it really evident that those are the things that you need to consider, because you need to start working towards, firstly, a retirement age, and yours might be completely different to mine. Also considering the contributions. The other things to think about is investment mix. So down here, you've got things like if you were to contribute more, if you were to change an investment strategy, if you were to consider doing part-time, or, maybe taking time out of the workforce, it actually allows you from what age, for how many years. So it's really set up for you to be able to use it for your own personal circumstance. Later on, for, if you already know what your target retirement income is, because you might be closer to retirement, then you would be able to play around with this part here, the target retirement income. And that's going to help you see, out of your projected balance, if you, for example, needed, $50,000 a year, how long is that going to last? Bearing in mind that at 67, it will automatically default to say that you are going to receive the age pension. However, again, that's something that we can take out if we think that we might not be eligible, or if we just want to see just our superannuation alone, how long is that going to last? Because we don't know whether we're going to be receiving any government age pension or not. So it's a really good tool for you to use. But as I said, this particular tool is designed for our PSAP members, whereas the defined benefit members, they have a different tool called an I estimator, but you can still use that to factor in things like if you're considering going part-time, what kind of effect that can be. Ultimately, from this session, it's really important to understand that, things like going part-time, things like taking time out of the workforce, whatever the case may be, whether it's to have children, looking after elderly parents, whether it's due to, injury is a different matter because there's certain insurances that you have, but all of these things can definitely impact our retirement savings. And what we're trying to do is, at least bridge the gap between, what our male counterparts are retiring on versus what we're retiring on. So educate yourself. I believe that knowledge is power. First step is, if you haven't been to a particular scheme overview session, that's your next step to understand your superannuation. If you want to then revisit this presentation again to sort of understand what are the impacts that can definitely affect my superannuation, the recording is going to be available on your intranet page, or the page that Angela has provided the link for our upcoming webinars for this agency. Alternatively, as I mentioned, we also have general webinars that are available on the csc.gov.au website at the end of every month. So hopefully it's going to empower you to make some changes, whether it's changing an investment strategy, maybe looking at that small change calculator. If I was to give up, buying one coffee a week, how much could that increase my superannuation over the next 10, 20, 30 years? It could be about looking at budgeting. How much would I be able to afford to put into my super to maybe mitigate any loss I potentially could have, because the plan is to start a family? Those life changes, starting a family, buying a home. Not only is it important to have a look at what kind of insurances you need during that time, but those life events are really good to also check back in with your super fund as well. What are the things that I need to be aware of, or what could I do at that particular point also to understand what kind of effect it would have to that financial outcome in retirement? So let me just go back here. Financial literacy isn't just about understanding money. It's about knowing when and how to take action that supports your goals. Sometimes it's the small steps taken at the right time that make the biggest difference. Whether it's choosing an investment option, like I just said, making a contribution, or reviewing your insurances, each decision builds confidence and also your overall balance. Now, there's a wide range of products, tools, and services available to help find the right solution for your situation, so you're never navigating it alone. And it's this commitment to supporting members is one of the reasons why PSAP has consistently received a platinum performance rating from Super Ratings, recognizing strong long-term outcomes and value for members. The more you know, the more empowered you are to shape the future you want. And every step you take today is an investment to that future. You've just taken a valuable step by learning more about your superannuation. And now it's time to keep that momentum going. Taking even one small action today can help strengthen your financial security for the future. Explore more through CSC's range of webinars, including sessions focused on career breaks and other key life stages. If you have questions, don't hesitate to reach out. Support is available to help you feel confident in your next steps. Log into your CSC Navigator account or visit the website. Access those tools like the Retirement Modeler, the iEstimator, the Life App Calculator, and there's so many more tools available to you. For those who are in PSAP, you can book in a one-on-one appointment with our super specialist for a little bit more one-on-one guidance. But again, our super specialist can only provide general advice. Your super is your future, and every step you take today helps build a more secure, confident tomorrow. So thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you found the information valuable, and I've taken up the 45 minutes. I thought I was going to finish earlier, but I do like to ramble on, as I said. But please, take action. You've used the time today. You've spent this 45 minutes listening to me ramble on, but take action, because you might not remember me later on down the track when you're retiring, when you're sitting on a beach and you're doing all the things that you've dreamt about doing while you're working, but you will thank me that you listened and took those little steps.
Thank you so much, Martha, and thank you everyone for joining us today and taking the time to invest in your financial well-being. Planning for retirement's not just about numbers, it's about supporting your long-term health, independence, and a quality of life. We appreciate our partnership with the CSC and the expertise shared today. We encourage you to reflect on what you've just heard, make sure you use the available supports, and continue prioritising your well-being in all its forms, whether that be financial, physical, or psychological. Thanks again for your time, and we hope that you found today's session valuable. And as we said, don't forget to book in next month. It's Super 101. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Rick.
Thanks, Marta.
And thank you, Angela, for providing support. She was very busy answering your questions. As I said, at the end of the day, scheme-specific questions, find out from your super fund. That's the best thing, because we can't give you the information in this forum because it won't apply to everyone. Thank you everyone for your kind messages. Enjoy the rest of your day, and we will see you next month.
Bye all.
Bye.